Look at these monsters, the biggest and strongest in the world. These are, without a doubt, RTI 96C turbocharged engines manufactured by the Finnish company Wärtsilä. Such engines are installed on tankers and container ships, giant sea vessels. The diameter of each cylinder is 0.96 meters, and the piston stroke is about 2.5 meters. The displacement is 1,820 liters, which results in 7,780 horsepower. The record-breaking version is the 14-cylinder RTI 96C. The total weight of this monster is 2,300 tons, with the crankshaft alone weighing just over 300 tons. The engine is 26.7 meters long and 13.2 meters high. The maximum power is 108,920 horsepower at 102 revolutions per minute. At the same time, the engine is very efficient. 50% of the energy obtained from fuel combustion is converted into motion. If you compare it to car and aircraft engines, their efficiency is only 25 to 30%. These engines are what you call low revving, only 100 revolutions per minute. This is done so that the engine can successfully complete the gas exchange process. This slows the piston and boosts efficiency. But even with the most efficient and economical setup, a 14-cylinder engine burns 7,500 liters of fuel oil per hour. And there's also such a monster, an insane tractor with almost 4,000 horsepower for just over $13 million. That's the exact amount the designer received at auction. Mike Harrow spent 7 years and $7 million assembling the Tortrac truck. Usually, the 12V71 engine is equipped with only 2 turbochargers, but the TOR has an additional 8 superchargers, making a total of 12 on the 2 engines. To fit the engines, the front part of the Peterbilt was extended. The resulting power of 3,424 horsepower at 2,500 revolutions per minute goes through an Allison NHT 740 transmission with a locking differential on the rear axle. When designing the TOR, the suspension had to be redesigned because the standard one from the original Peterbilt truck couldn't handle it. So Mike Harrow replaced it with a suspension from a Van Hool tour bus. The TOR is 13.5 meters long and weighs a colossal 14,500 kilograms. This truck can't cross certain bridges. It was designed mainly for shows, demonstrations, and extreme drag strips, not transportation. 4 3.5-meter parachutes are built to stop the monster. There are a lot of bold claims surrounding the Thor, like it's the most powerful truck ever built. It's hard to say for sure, but what is certain is that it's one of the brightest and most attention-grabbing trucks out there. Of course, the biggest, the huge, and the most powerful. That's cool. But if you look at the other side, you can see mechanisms that are just as impressive. How about an engine that can fit entirely on a coin? Yes, a working diesel engine. The main genius behind these mechanisms is inventor Ronald Valentin, an engineering prodigy who studied in Germany and started making the smallest internal combustion engines in the world. Ronald's life goal is to prove to everyone that, despite his engines being very small, they work. And all of Valentin's engines are assembled entirely by hand. Not a single part was made on a computer numerical control machine. These are high-quality little diesel beasts. The smallest of them is the Nano B diesel engine, measuring 22 mm in length, with a piston diameter of 2 mm, a stroke of 3 mm, and an engine displacement of 0.006 cubic centimeters (cm). Nano B features 3 mm intake and exhaust diameters and weighs 3 grams. Nevertheless, the engine spins a 32mm propeller up to 12,800 revolutions per minute. Chris Valentin built the Nano B using aluminum and steel rod, achieving manufacturing tolerances of 1/10,000 centimeters. Isn't this pure engineering art? Very small, but actually working? There are various models presented, with 3 or 2 cylinders, 2-stroke and 4-stroke, equipped with other interesting features. And since we're talking about cylinders, let's count how and where they're added. How many cylinders are there in internal combustion engines in general? Let's take a look at some interesting, well-known and lesser-known engines that can have anywhere from 1 to 64 cylinders. We'll go in order, stopping at the most unusual examples. So, one cylinder is, of course, for motorcycles and small mini-tractors. 2 cylinders are mostly used in motorcycles, where they're quite common. 3 cylinders. Here we start discussing cars, like the Citroën C4L with a 1.2-liter turbo engine. Many people use 3-cylinder engines in their cars. 4 cylinders need no explanation. Inline 4s are our mainstay. 5-cylinder engines were used by Volkswagen and Audi. And, for example, here's the Volvo T5 engine, 6 cylinders, the classic V6 from BMW, and in recent years, the 6-cylinder often replaces the V8. On many models from various manufacturers, there's a focus on saving. 7 cylinders usually come with an odd number of cylinders. Aviation engines, which doesn't prevent them from being used on motorcycles as well, for example. 8 cylinders are also a very common engine in automotive engineering. 9 cylinders, here it's definitely aviation, but there are also 10-cylinder engines. The Audi R8 can boast such an engine. 11 cylinders. There's even such a rare engine from 12 cylinders. These used to be found on trucks, but today their popularity is declining in favor of environmental standards. 14 cylinders is already serious. Such engines can be found, for example, on marine container ships. The Wärtsilä engine has 14 cylinders and 108,920 horsepower. 16 cylinders. Here, as they say, it's rare, expensive, and luxurious. The Bugatti Veyron features a 16-cylinder 8-liter engine with more than 1,000 horsepower. This engine is the most powerful and complex among all production cars. It has 64 valves and 4 turbochargers. Before this, the automotive industry had seen nothing similar. Yet, earlier, another supercar, CZ, was made in limited numbers, also featuring a 560 horsepower V16 engine. Finding this car now is harder than finding an honest official. The number of cars produced is kept secret. 18 cylinders, again Bugatti, but with an even more expensive and faster V18 engine, which was installed in 1998 on a Bugatti, never went into production. But no one really expected that. 20 cylinders, the era of monsters. The 20-cylinder Detroit diesel with a power output of 1,050 horsepower. Engines of this series are installed on diesel generators, drilling rigs, construction equipment, and other monsters. 24 cylinders. The Ellison Company also developed the X4520 aircraft engine, which had a 74-liter displacement and produced 1,200 horsepower. For the 1930s, this was one of the largest and most powerful aircraft engines. It was intended for a very large single-engine bomber biplane, but by the time of testing, there was a shift from using large single-engine aircraft to multi-engine ones, which left the X4520 without use, in addition to the technical problems that arose during testing. 28 cylinders. In 1944, the Pratt & Whitney R4360 aircraft engine was developed in the United States. It had a diameter of 1.4 meters. It was nearly 2.5 meters long and weighed 1,760 kilograms heavier than some early World War II fighters. But with a displacement of about 71 liters, the engine produced up to 4,200 horsepower. The monstrous engine, which got the nickname Corncob because of its appearance, was produced. Until 1955, this engine was installed on several well-known aircraft: the passenger Boeing 377, the B-36 and B-50 bombers, as well as the C-97 transport. The 30-cylinder Chrysler tank engine, surprisingly, had a rather modest power output of 445 horsepower and was created by combining 5 6-cylinder engines. Considering the section arrangement, the multibank, as it was called, was a relatively short but heavy engine, weighing 1,379 kilograms, including the radiator, cooling fan, and clutch. The engine had 5 carburetors and distributors and 32 cylinders. They skillfully merged two V16s to make a 32-cylinder H-type engine. The turbocharged engine has 5,900 horsepower, 56 cylinders. The powerful diesel engine M504 has 5,000 horsepower, and finally, 64 cylinders. Again, Pratt & Whitney, which is built on an 8x8 scheme from 8-cylinder engines, the power of this giant engine is 7,000 horsepower. Engines like these became the pinnacle of piston engine development in aviation, and even with the advent of the jet era, they could still compete on equal terms with early models of jet engines for quite some time. After all, those had many drawbacks: low thrust, high weight, short lifespan, huge fuel consumption, and insufficient acceleration dynamics at speeds below 600 kilometers per hour. On this note, let's wrap up our brief overview. Write in the comments which engine impressed you the most. Thanks for watching. See you in our next episodes.